everybody, welcome to the channel. This might be my first video I'll ever do. It'll be rough, so bear with me, but here's what we got. I've been running the Kuat IBEX rack for some time. For those that have followed the build on Instagram, y'all know I've run heavy metal off-road bed rack that was just two simple crossbars, and it was great. But there's always a but. The build never ends, and I really liked the IBEX rack. I got a good hookup from the boys over at All Dogs Off-Road. Shout out to the boys. This rack was a no-brainer for me. It's modular. There's all kinds of T-tracks. The only downside is the original bracket that came with it for the Frontier is this big bulky thing. It looks like this right here. There's nothing wrong with it. It works great. For someone that wants to run a tonneau cover, I used to have one with the bed rack from Heavy Metal. The brackets looked a little bit more like this. So I'll get more into that in a minute. Just wanted to kind of introduce what we're going to do here. The goal is to swap these brackets right here all the way around on the other side of the bed rack. So that way we can attempt to test fit the tonneau cover, which might have to be another day, and see if it works. The goal is to get this all covered back up. Granted, it's not going to be watertight or dust tight or anything like that, but it'll clean up the bed and get a nice look. So when you're backing up, looking at the truck, I'd really like to have that all cleaned up and just have a black top. Back to the original build, how we had the original look. I've been running the open top for a while, and like I said, it's not bad, but I'd love to just have something to covering all this up. Let's get plugged in. Got a setup going. We'll get all this dialed in as the channel hopefully grows. At least that's the goal. But really, I just want to share anything I'm doing with you guys. We'll go over the whole build. Right now, we're going to start with this guy. Here's the bracket. It's kind of L bracket with a TIG welded top. I designed these. I did not make them. I do not have anything clean enough to make those slots in those bins. So some buddies of mine over at Springbrook Metal Fab in Watertown, Tennessee, fabbed them up, welded the back side, TIG welded the back for me. These are stainless, but they recommended I still throw some clear coat. So I put some clear paint on it just to be safe and prevent any rust, potentially surface rust from all these cuts and exposing the metals. Here's the hardware we're going to use. These are Kuat spec. They're their T-slot channels that'll go in all the T-slots. They're for an M8 by 1.25 thread pitch bolt, and these are going to run 3/8 bolts for the unistrut. So this is just your typical unistrut you can get at the big box hardware store. Home Depot or Lowe's are my favorite. It's not the cheapest thing anymore because prices have gone up, but they definitely work. So these will go in our original utilitrack. There's a couple things we got to remove. We've got to remove this original Kuat bracket. Like I said, it's great. It hadn't failed me yet, but I do want to get something a little more low profile to get my tonneau cover. So we'll show the tonneau cover in a bit. That tonneau cover mounts to the inside of the bed rails versus the top, so this should work pretty good. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Let's give it a shot. Goodness gracious. You can see how that is not the most efficient way to get a bracket in or out, but it works. So real quick, I'm going to go ahead and slide in. So we've got 3 brackets for each side versus the 2 that we had before. These are supplied by Kuat, and those should fit nicely there. All right, we got the rack fully off. Now I've gone ahead and loosened these crossbars a little bit so I can push this rack out, because it's going to need to scoot over just a little bit because the bracket's offset, like I was saying, in order to give us that space for hopefully the tonneau cover to mount in here. Here's a test look again. You guys saw them earlier. Just gonna lift this up, drop it in, and we'll see how far I want to get these on the T-track. I want to space them out appropriately. That way I've just got as much surface area covered as possible. So let's try this. I think this will be pretty good. Try to match the other side. I'll use an Allen key to get the T-bolts or T-slot nuts here in place, and then we'll obviously wait to tighten everything down. But I'm going to go ahead and put our M8 bolts in. These should hold pretty nicely, help us keep things together. And here's our utilitrack bolts. These again are 3/8. That's what the slots on the bracket are cut out for. I tell you what, I don't know if I could have asked for a better evening for this because this temperature is perfect. Sun's going down. Hopefully the lighting's okay. Might have to work some magic to lighten it up a little bit. All right, that one took a while. We'll remember to tuck these wires up. I'll clean all that up at some point again. Wire management is key for me. There's nothing worse than having wires just fumbling around. And obviously once we get this one in, we'll snug it. I kind of sit on the rack to make it easier. Just I want to get this thing as close to the bed rails as possible. Thankfully it doesn't push it up very much, if at all. That looks pretty clean. Let's zoom in on that a little bit. All right, now that we've gotten these buttoned up, we've got this side done. I did this side earlier just to make sure this would work. I'd hate to film something and it not work, but hey, that might happen over time. We'll see. Let me turn the light on real quick. I do have these KC Cyclones that kind of help. I might put another set in the front bars. We'll see. I'm super stoked with how these turned out. You know, will I make these for other people? Maybe. Or is anybody gonna be interested? Probably not. This is kind of a one-off project because this is a solution that I was trying to solve for specifically for this truck. If you guys ever want to run a Kuat IBEX rack for the Frontiers, let me know. I'd be happy to try to work something out. Like I said, this is definitely just more of a personal project. This is a passionate project, I guess you could say, to try to make what I've got work with some local fab buddies of mine. Honestly, this will only work with tonneau covers that mount to the inside. I know a lot of guys have them mount to the outside or some fancy roll up or hard roll up or like a trifold. So yeah, let's get the tonneau cover on here and see if it'll mount up. Well, I'm definitely not one to want to stop projects midway, but we're losing light. It's supposed to rain tomorrow potentially, so we're just gonna ride this out. We'll check in with you maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. We'll see. We're gonna get this sorted out, and then we're gonna work to get this bed clamp back in and try to get that tonneau cover on like I was talking about. Thanks for sticking around. We'll see you on the next one. Well, guys, it's officially a new day. Not looking too great, but I think it'll be just enough time to get done what we need to do. I've got my tonneau cover inside bed rail support, so we're gonna try to get these on. Got some foam tape to kind of seal around because we've got like an 1/8 inch of gap potentially. You know, this thing's not gonna be watertight, but anything we can do to help prevent it should be pretty good. So stick around and we'll get started. Y'all are gonna get that up close and personal of me, so sorry about it. This should help us clamp up pretty well. Like I said, not watertight, but enough to keep some crap out of here. Here's a look on the other side. Nice clean. We just dropped the wire right through there and that should be fine. All right, let's get this rolled up, test fit it and see how it looks. But I think that bracketry right there is gonna be just fine. That looks awesome. I'm super stoked with how that turned out. All right, let's get this rolled up and see how it fits. I think that looks nice. Well, guys, there you have it. That is my first ever YouTube video. A rough one, but hey, we made it work, right? It's the thought that counts to start. Thank you guys for watching. I hope to do more of this, you know, whether it's installs, DIY projects, regular maintenance. I'd love to do that and kind of bring light to it on this channel. So thanks again for tuning in and catch you on the next one.